Hello, everybody. Tonight we have a Let's Talk live session with Alma Rodriguez Arellano. This is an individual who reached out to me. I won't spoil too much of the surprise of her backstory. I'll tell you, she's from an immigrant family, and she wanted to discuss some things publicly with me and with you guys. So she just requested to join, and we're going to welcome her in just a moment. We do have the new Negron for Congress baseball tees. Quick plug. These, I will be posting a link up to these that are available now. So that is why I'm wearing this tonight. I think they well, and we will welcome Alma here in just a moment. Awesome.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on here, man. I'm so excited to be talking to you. What's the weather like where you are? How are you doing? What's the day been like?
It's hot. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. So
yes,
it was actually, I think, less than yesterday. Yesterday was like 120 something yesterday and over the weekend. And like I told you, thank you for waiting on me. We went up north for the weekend, and then I got back Sunday, and it's hot. You can't do anything. You have to do in the morning or really late at night here.
Yes. I've been through Phoenix a few times. It's gorgeous. I love it. And at least it's dry heat, right? It's not as humid as some of the East Coast areas, but it is killer. It is absolutely killer.
It is, yeah. I mean, for us, we're indoors and we have the AC in the cars and stuff. It's not that bad, but
yes,
people who are out there, yeah, they come home with headaches and then it's bad.
It's terrible. Honestly, I try to stay inside. I feel like a pansy, but I try to stay inside as much as I can when it's this hot, unless I'm by a beach or a pool. Then you've got to make an exception.
Definitely.
So I've been doing these Let's Talk sessions with leaders and outspoken individuals from around the country, because really, as a congressional nominee, I have the responsibility to my district, but also it's a federal job, so you need to answer to the American people. You contacted me and said you'd like to speak out and share some of your story. I told people just before you got on here, you probably saw that your background is one of an immigrant. You're a first-generation American. I am second-generation American. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and let's talk about it?
Of course, thank you. Yeah, you really caught my attention when you came on the, I think it's the Bienvenidos Instagram page. And I think I've been on this journey to find truth for I'm going to say ever since like the last election, which was like, I would say before that, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am. I consider myself, I can say that proudly too. I am a conservative Hispanic. It's been a really tough journey because I feel like you cannot say like those two titles, Hispanic and conservative.
You're not supposed to exist, right? They're not supposed to come together. Yeah. Or pop culture and I'd say mainstream news both tell us that you and I are not supposed to believe what we believe based on our skin color and our ethnicity. That's what I believe. Would that be fair to say?
And of course, yes, you're right. And that's why I reached out to you. And when you told me, hey, I'm really passionate about the same thing you are, which is immigration, I just thought, oh my God, thank goodness I found someone, that I can connect with. I've been on this journey now, just connecting with more people in person who think like me. I'm part of a conservative group on Facebook, and it's just amazing, like, that there is people out there that think like us. Like, we don't have to, I feel like we're expected to think with our color, like our skin color, background, and once we kind of start thinking for ourselves and once we find the truth, we are just marginalized, you could say. Like, we are called all kinds of things, even, in our own family and stuff. They're just like, how could you, how could you think like that? But yeah, so basically, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Currently am answering to my call to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Congratulations. And that is I have to interject and say, one of the greatest things anybody can do. Props to you. It is. I was just talking to my friend about how my mom was, up until I was a teenager, she was a stay-at-home mom. Then she went to work. I think it's one of the most powerful things that a woman can do. You're literally building the next generation. It's the level of influence that everyone else hopes to have. So awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. So that's pretty much where that's pretty much the reason why I started to seek truth. So yeah, so currently, stay-at-home mom, and I started just questioning my faith. I'm a Catholic, raised Catholic all my life. So my dad is the one who instilled my values and the faith in me, and thanks to him, I kind of tell him, it's your fault. You taught me this, and you're the one who made me so passionate, for my faith. So I started questioning a lot of things. I started questioning my faith, and then I found that's kind of where I found all of the answers I was looking for. So I don't know. I kind of have it split into. I took a bunch of notes because
that's awesome. No, hit me with the notes. So this is. I'll say really quickly. It's really interesting that you say, I didn't know this part of your story from when we conversed, that your faith is what brought you to your social and political conclusions. I guess, would that be fair to say?
Definitely, yeah.
Me too. Definitely.
In my decisions, every decision I'm going to make, I always, put that first. But so basically, yes, I am the daughter of immigrants. When I was 2 years old, I was brought here by my parents. We immigrated. So this was I'm 28 now. So this was, obviously over 20 years ago. Things were way different back then. So he brought us here, and for the same reasons that a lot of people come here. We were looking for the opportunity, the American dream. We were looking for everything that we did not have back home. Everything that we have here, and basically back home in Mexico, we don't have a middle class, you could say. It's
right.
You can't really make a life out there. At least back in the days that that we were living there. My dad tells me stories how he was really poor, and we couldn't wait because the process to come over here was really, really long, and he was really sick. So then he did what he did, and he gathered all his family and brought us here, along with my so it's two other brothers, and we're all really close in age. So then he brought us all over here, and seeking that, seeking the American dream, the opportunity, and thanks to the culture here, we can work, and we can work for someone, or we can be entrepreneurs. We can open our own business, and we have pretty much the same opportunity as the next person to be rich, or to be successful. And so yeah, my brothers, my dad, and all of my uncles, my community, we are proof of that. We are all business owners. We are all we own properties, and we did it with the resources that we had, very limited resources.
So you would be what's called, I think we talked about this when we first contacted each other, you're a dreamer then, right? You're a part of the dreamer category and generation of immigrant children whose parents came here through the southern border. You came from Mexico. Everyone who comes through the Mexican border is not Mexican. Lots of people come from other South American countries. And so you're a dreamer, and now you're building your life here as a proud American who, I love what you said about the middle class. That is something that I think we take for granted as Americans, is the fact that in other countries you have the haves and the have-nots. There's no middle ground. There's no
Yeah.
upward mobility. It's either
Yeah.
you're making, 50 cents an hour or you're making $50,000 every month. There's no real in between. And from my travels in Panama and Brazil and Argentina, you see a lot of that. And you're, better than I, what that's like. So sorry, continue. But I thought that was a really cool point about the value of the middle class.
For sure, for sure. And I can be successful and I can have like all the riches, that I could ever want without having to do anything sketchy, because
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying everybody's like that, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. You're either really poor or you're really rich. And, even the abundance of food, I travel back home and I just see that it's very limited where I'm from. And here, you have so many resources, so much, the abundance of everything. And so I am actually not a dreamer. I did not.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You would think that but my brothers, I actually got married really young. I would have been a dreamer, but I actually got married, met my husband when I was 16, and then I got married to him when I was like 20 years old. So he's the one who helped me, and then I helped my parents.
Gotcha.
But my brothers are dreamers, though. So I do have that. I know what they went through, and I know the limitations they go through. Basically, we came here for the education opportunity. We came for the accessible health care that we have here. It's a safer environment for us. I think my dad at the time, he thought it was a safer environment for us, his children. And as a mom now, I think I would totally do the same thing for my kids.
Yes.
Definitely for the safety. I know that with everything that's going on right now with the whole defunding the police thing, I can tell you and I can testify that I do not support that. We cannot support that, especially coming from countries like that, because I know firsthand what it's like to not be able to have the police, minutes away from you.
Yes.
I went back home and I went to visit my grandma and I stayed out there for a month, and she had experienced something where someone had jumped into her yard and had scared her, and I was there by myself with her, and I just thought, I'm so glad. When I got back home, I just thought, I'm just so glad we have this, and we have the police, and we have the security that we have here, because during that time, that's kind of when I realized that if something went down, I had no one.
You're on your own. That's
myself.
Yeah.
And then, they're older. Like, how are they going to protect themselves? And I was really, really, really scared for that. They can't really report any crimes or anything. I mean, they do, but it's not like here. It's really different. So that's something I'm grateful for. And that's something that my dad was looking for when he brought us here.
And that's something that I guess you'd say, so you're seeing that today kind of being called for here. And I know that having a reliable police force and a police force that is generally not corrupt. I know there are problems. There are bad cops in the U.S., but generally they're very good people. They're very dedicated neighbors and citizens. So you see the value in that. And I guess I would say, I think a lot of Americans who were born here, they only focus on the negative side. They only focus on what is at least perceived as what they don't have. And they don't focus on the safety that they're able to live in. I think that's a really powerful point to make for you and your family who have seen both sides.
Yes, and I feel like we tend to take that for granted.
Yes.
And all we do is just be a little bit traveled to just realize that it's not like that. In other places, it's not like that. So another reason I think we came here is definitely for the freedom. We can practice our religion here. We're safe to practice our religion. Small government, thanks to the Constitution, no individual group can have too much power. So basically the power is in the people, and we're basically left alone to just kind of raise our kids and our life here however, we see fit. So I would never take that for granted. I know that it's not like that in other places.
And that's kind of the dream, right? Is for anyone, regardless of your political affiliation. I think most people want to raise their family the way that they see fit, want to have their friends, have whatever business they want to invest in, and seek happiness by themselves while being left alone as much as possible by the government. And I think there's a lot of libertarians who would agree with that, a lot of conservatives, and even a lot of liberals who say, yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to do my thing. I want to be safe and just live my life. That in and of itself is really the American dream to me. And it sounds like that's what your family was pursuing as well, yes. Which is really cool.
Yeah, which is kind of like the reason, I know that I touched a little bit on the political side of it. Kind of the reason, that I am a conservative. So definitely because of my faith. And I think that when I realized I was a conservative was on the whole topic of abortion. So I could kind of tell you a little bit of history. When I was, I would say in high school, maybe out of high school, I kind of thought I was a liberal because, you tend to just follow the culture and you're just like, yeah, if they say, this is it, then this is it. And you kind of just, follow everything.
Right.
And it kind of was a journey for me, becoming a mom and everything. I mean, the whole issue on abortion, I know that, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And I just have gone through the fears myself of an unplanned pregnancy. And I just feel like no woman should ever have to go through that alone, and the fear. Because behind the fear, there's always something amazing. And, you don't just have one choice. You have so many choices.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That for sure. And then once you realize the issue on abortion, you open so many new truths. And so, yeah, that's kind of why, I started and why, I'm so passionate about it. And let me see.
Was it your faith, your moral beliefs through your Catholic faith that made you see your beliefs on abortion had to align more, or naturally did align more with conservatism, and then that started you down the path of other policies, of reviewing, like, okay, so I agree with them on this. I thought I was a liberal because I think in high school and college, we're kind of told that if you're a kind person, you're a liberal. If you're a nice person, you're a liberal. The conservatives, those are the greedy people who love money and they're old white men. Like we said, you and I aren't supposed to exist, right? There's no ethnic diversity within conservatives. That's what we're told. But then you started looking into the issues and you said, okay, I can't be liberal on abortion for you. And then it started down the road of you, reviewing more policies. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And then that's kind of where I came to a dead end. That's kind of that, okay, but I cannot be Hispanic and against abortion at the same time. I mean, I can, but then you also have my background that I am an immigrant, and I cannot have that view. I have to be on the other side. So that's kind of where I was a little bit confused, and I was like, what, and then I continued to look for truth, and I kind of found out who the conservatives are, And another reason why I am conservative is because of my Spanish heritage, which is rooted in the values of faith and family. And often, oftentimes, like I told you, my community, we come from Mexico, and we're so quick to forget who we are, forget that where our values are rooted.
Yes.
We kind of tend to follow cultures, and we follow trends, and sometimes we put our kids in school and we think, oh, they're fitting in, they're doing fine, and then we kind of forget. And I'm just really, 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 really happy that my dad was the way he was with us, where he was just so solid and in our faith, and he would never let us follow like any kind of trends or anything, culture, anything.
Right. You don't follow it just because it's what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really powerful argument for conservative minorities, and it's that specifically Hispanic people and Black people tend to be actually more religious and more conservative in their family life than the left does. To the Hispanic culture and to the Black American culture, family importance is very magnified. Family unity matters a lot. having fathers and mothers in the home pouring into their children matters. And then our religions tend to be taken more seriously. You go to a traditional, Hispanic community or a Black church, you'll see a lot of passion in their religion. And ironically, that does not coincide with them being told that they should be radical leftists, because the radical left does not agree with any of those things that I just listed. So I think you're right on. That's kind of what you're saying, if I'm hearing it right?
Yes, definitely. I just feel like everything from the policies and everything that the left side pushes for is just super far away from us. I feel like they don't appeal to my community or to me because they don't know us. They don't know what we believe in, or they want us to be they want us to be. We're not the Hispanics they want us to be.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
I lost them when I totally lost them when they started pushing for certain kind of things, and I was like, wait, no, that's not us. At least that's not my community,
Yes.
And definitely another reason why I'm conservative is because I am pro Second Amendment. I feel like that's one of the greatest things we have to protect. I do believe in protecting yourself, having that right, and protecting that right. Like I said, I experienced what it's like to not be able to have that. And I feel like that's really important. And then
a quick side note here, sorry, but this is just, it's too relevant. These points that you're making, they're amazing. And I think it is so worth mentioning that the people today, the elitists, the people in power who want to take your law enforcement, which is one thing you said, you valued the safety offered by law enforcement. They want to take your law enforcement, and they're the same people who want to take your guns. They want to take away your right to defend yourself. And what we used to be told as Americans is, you don't need those guns because we have law enforcement. You don't need them. Like, just leave it to the cops is what the message used to be. And now the message is, get rid of the police too. Right. So then it literally is leading to the world that your family fled, and that your family said, we don't want to live like this. Right. And our elitists, ironically, are the rich people who live in gated communities and pay for private security. Yeah. And so they don't need their guns and they don't need the cops because they pay for it. But us, the working class, we have to worry about those things. So a question for you, before we move too far past this topic, what do you think it is that fools our minority communities into thinking they're liberals? Because I think what you and I just discussed is at the heart of the Hispanic community, certainly, and I would argue at the heart of the Black community traditionally, they are not liberal. They care about their families. They care about, sorry, I just had a low battery warning there. They care about these things. So how do you think they're fooled into ultimately, voting Democrat by a fairly wide margin? Why is that?
Because of the media. Because the left definitely controls all of the major institutions. They control mainstream media, they control lower and higher education, they control the newspaper, they control big tech. So basically to us, the only thing we have is La Campesina, which is a radio station. We have Univision and we have Telemundo. And if you dig into that, you will realize that they're owned by the Democratic side and they are funded by Planned Parenthood. So therefore, we are just fed nothing but hatred, nothing but division in our community. And that's kind of, to me, we are fed that victim mentality, that we are victims, that we will never be anything here, that they hate us, that they're after us. And like I said, I'm just really, really glad that my dad never let us fall for that, because even though he was an immigrant himself, and even though, yes, we did face a lot of injustices and a lot of, you could say, racism, it was hard. he was always really grateful. He had that grateful spirit where he would just tell us. I remember when I was in school and they would do like the protest, they would say, you know, you have to walk out of school, and if you're a business owner, you need to close your business. And he would just be like, no, you guys are not going to walk out of school. I am not going to close my business, because all we have to do is be thankful, because we did not come to this country to take anything. We came to this country to give, you know, and we have, you know, our blood, sweat, and tears and our hard work. And that's pretty much, to me, that's why we are just so brainwashed. I feel.
The media. Yeah. And that's something I try to be as outspoken as I can in my corner, my sphere of influence, is that I believe the media literally has blood on their hands. These lies that have led to riots and to death, to robbery, death, burning, and all sorts of crimes, are largely sparked by the media telling half-truths or telling blatant lies to minority communities, to white populations, protecting the elitists who don't want you to know the truth. I think they're all complicit in the suffering that we see really nationwide. Actually, it even has spilled over to globally, I'd say, but certainly within our own communities here. So I agree. I think everybody would do themselves a great service by listening to the media and then fact checking it and listening to an opposing viewpoint. So if you watch CNN, then watch Fox. Or if you don't watch either of those, go look up the stories yourself and read up, or you know, find raw data that reports on these happenings. Find the facts below the opinions, because the opinions that we're given all the time, like you said, from these biased organizations, which are funded by places like Planned Parenthood, they're misleading, and they permeate into our cultures and our minds. And before we know it, we believe what they tell us to believe, as opposed to what we have actually even experienced. It's like they tell us that the sky is not blue, and if we hear it enough, we believe it because we've heard it nightly on the news. I think it's so dangerous. It's so destructive.
It is. It's very dangerous, because they will put out, you know, they'll put out the news article or the, you know, whatever the news is, and it's lies, and but it's already out there. It was already shared, it was already heard, and then they realize, oh wait, it wasn't true. It already did a lot of damage.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people will go back and double check that. And I think something that really opened my eyes and keeps, you know, opening my eyes is I follow a lot of Black conservative leaders. And I just wonder, you know, if they are leaving the left, you know, there has to be a reason why. And you know, if they're leaving the same people that brainwash them the same way they brainwash me and tell them, oh, we'll give you this and we're going to try everything, there has to be a reason why. They must be doing something wrong, and they must be seeing something that we're not seeing. And someone that I follow is Candace Owens. She really inspires me, because she basically says the same thing. She says, you know, I get questioned all the time, why don't you support your community? And I kind of get asked the same question, well, why don't you support your people in your community? Why do you turn your back on them? And her answer to that is the same as mine, is that is not my community. The community the left thinks we are is not my community. That's not who we are. And she advocates for that. She advocates for her people, and she's someone that I really look up to. And same thing. I always just wonder why, you know, even I follow a lot of people that I respect that left Venezuela, that left Cuba, and they're kind of, you know, they're warning us. They're telling us, hey, you know, the way things are going, what the left is promising you guys, it's the road towards communism, towards Marxism. And I mean, I don't want that. I don't want that for my community, because that's the reason why, you know, I mean, why would my people want to continue here and want to come here? You know, if it's gonna, I would rather just fight for that, so that we all know and we're all like kind of aware of what's going on, so that we can protect this for everyone. And I know that my community is willing to fight. You know, we had that opportunity. We're willing to fight like hand in hand with everyone else that loves America. I know that Candace Owens she made a tweet where she was saying that she will gladly trade I don't know how many good illegal immigrants over people who hate America. And my first
Oh, yeah.
thought, we're here, you know, where do we all we want. We just
Yeah.
want the opportunity. We want to be able to proudly, you know, wear the flag and sing the national anthem with you, with the rest, you know, with everyone else that loves America, because we do. So going back to the beginning of everything, I remember that when I finally became a citizen, I kind of felt the same feelings and emotions that a lot of people on the left in my community feel, where they feel angry and they feel because they're fed the hate and anger, because they speak to our emotions and they control us by, you know, causing fear.
Yes.
So I remember I was really mad, and I was really I felt like America owed me something. You know, because
Wow.
that's,
Even though your dad raised you the way he did,
yes.
somehow through the school system and culture, they got to you. And I think that this comes back to what we were just saying, is like, you can have the best family ever, and your kids are still being affected by the school they go to and by the TV they watch and by the news that they hear on the radio, and it got to you, right? So how did you pull away from that?
So I remember I went in and I got my citizenship certificate, and I tell you that I regret it. I regret feeling that, because I did not enjoy the moment. I did not enjoy the moment. I was so ungrateful. I was so entitled. And I remember I kind of almost snatched it from the judge's hand, like, give me that. That's mine. Like, you know, I deserve it. And
Wow. Yeah.
I just remember being there, and there was this lady who went up on stage, and she was just saying, you know, she was Hispanic, and she was like, I'm so grateful and I love America. And inside me, I was just thinking, you hypocrite, how can you be Hispanic and love America? And I feel like culture stole that from me.
Wow, that is so powerful. Oh my gosh.
I should have been way happier. I should have been, to this date, a lot of people throw that in my face, saying, well, you can't enjoy that because they hate you. You know, don't forget that. And no, they don't. I mean, they don't. Like, America itself, you know, doesn't. They forgave me. Thanks to my good character, thanks to my parents' good character, they forgave all of us. You know, we paid our dues, and they gave us a chance. And you know,
what an example. I mean, what an example. And that's something that comes to a policy that really first brought you and I together, which is immigration reform. I am, you know, I'm very vocal of, I believe in strong borders. I believe that borders mark the responsibility of a country. So we know where our elected officials, where their responsibility begins and ends, because we have borders. So we're not responsible for Canada, and we're not responsible for Mexico. Those borders tell us our defense, our economy, our taxation begins and ends right here. I think that's one main reason why I really support strong borders. But along with that, what you and I talked about is we need immigration reform. I've got, you know, I'm second generation American, you're first. I've got my family members have married immigrants who are still in the process of immigrating. I've seen firsthand how difficult it is for good immigrants to become American. And it's so tragic to me, because we do have bad people coming here, and they get prioritized over these good people who are hardworking, who love the United States, who see the opportunity. And in many cases, they're people who want to go to university, and they want to be doctors, and they want to be lawyers, and they want to build up and be business owners. They're not here to milk the system.
Right.
But yet they have to wait for, we're talking 5 to 10 years for families to come here. Insane amounts of time. And that's, to me, it's so wrong. It's illogical, and it's wrong.
For sure. Yeah. We had an application also through my mom's brother, and it was going to take about 20 years. And so by the time that the deadline came, my brothers would have not been able to fix, because they were already adults. So they would have been kicked out of that immediately.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about the border situation, and being on this side now, I realize the truth. I realize what happens in the border, and it's really, really common sense. I mean, I'm not against that. I have a locked door in my front door, and I have a gate, and I need to know who comes in and out. I need to know. I mean, I need to be able to protect that. And I get it. That's definitely common sense. So
Yeah.
I also know everything that comes through the border is not always the good immigrants. It's not always my community. I do understand that, you have like the child sex trafficking, which I'm completely aware of, and I'm completely willing to fight against that. And then you have the drugs and the cartels and, the MS-13 gangs that, all they want to do is definitely destroy, America. So I get it. I understand why. I understand why it has to be protected. Like I said, 20 years, now I understand that. And 20 years ago, I think things were way different. I think we were able to enter. I know a lot of people were able to like enter in and out of the country, and I don't think they would take fingerprints or anything. It was different because
Under Clinton then, right? 20 years ago, probably what,
even
1991?
before that. I know that maybe before that or around that. But I know that the crime wasn't, those things were not coming through as much as they are coming now. I think the world, I mean, maybe during that time, I guess the border situation, I guess, wasn't as tough as it is now.
The world has changed. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It was a different world, I think. I mean, my family tells me stories how they would, go in and out, and a lot of them didn't, though. They would stay here and they would make a life here, which is what we did. We came, my dad brought us here, and we just kind of laid low. I remember my dad wouldn't even drive anywhere because he didn't have a license and he didn't want to risk it. And so we just quickly became part of the economy, part of the community. We went to school here, we shopped here, we opened a business here. My dad opened up a tire shop here, and that was the way that he raised us, and he was able to make a living. And to this day, it's still open, and I'm really, really happy, for him for doing that, for doing that in us. So yeah, I'm definitely aware of the whole border protection and border situation. So yeah, I was gonna also touch on the subject. Oh my God, I just had a break.
Oh my gosh, it happens to me all the time. Don't even worry about it. I mean, we've covered so much. You think about that, and I'll just kind of share some thoughts. So you're talking a lot about your community and about the appreciation for America. I just thought it was a really powerful message of you saying, my dad raised me to appreciate what I had. The media got to me. By the time I became an American, I wasn't even excited to be American. I felt like it was a, I guess the popular term would be like entitled, right? I felt like, give me that. This is mine. And then you put in the work, though, to search for truth, which I would encourage anyone listening, even if you disagree with both of us, with me and Alma, search for truth. Go put your beliefs to the test. If you're, I'm a Christian. I came to be strong in my faith because I came to a point where I realized I need to research other faiths. I wanted to research Islam and Buddhism and find out, why am I not Islamist? Why am I not Buddhist, right? Similarly, I think if you're a liberal or a Republican or a conservative or a libertarian, put those to the test. Go research why you believe what you believe. And then once you've tested it and shown it to be true in your own life, maybe you will change your mind as you did, or maybe you will then just be stronger in your own beliefs. And either way, it's a good thing. You shouldn't be afraid of truth, basically, is the bottom line. Yeah.
And just checking it out, just see, why are they advocating for this? And
yes.
Another thing that I now, as a mom, I can tell you that I'm a conservative because of school choice. I'm 100% for school choice.
Me too. Love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
medical freedom. I love that I can be able to have a decision in that for my children, and I feel like that's really important. I feel like we have to protect that. Um, so, and definitely, I go back this week or this weekend. What happened in California and in Florida kind of, backed up my beliefs of religious freedom.
Yes.
On, they're burning our churches and the statue of Mary too. They burned her, and I just feel like that's something that we have to protect.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is something that, as conservatives, as Hispanics, we just cannot be so brainwashed, just because they promise us everything and there's
Mm-hmm.
something, underneath that. And
Yes.
that's pretty much why I am conservative.
And we always think that they will stop at the next extreme, right? So it's like, well, first they're just taking down Confederate statues. So okay, it's the Confederate flag and Confederate statues, they'll stop then. And then you have late night TV show hosts, right? Liberal show hosts saying they'll never take down statues of Jefferson and Washington, American founders. And then they start taking down those statues because they say, well, those men, they were imperfect too. So let's take down their statues. And then they say, well, okay, that happened, but religious freedom is religious freedom. It's going to be fine. And then all of a sudden, statues of Mary and statues of the cross start getting burned and taken down, and churches start getting attacked. And what's next? What is next? Our homes, our communities, the homes of people who are viewed as the other, who people who disagree with us, are those on the chopping block next? And are those going to be justified as, well, that was the house of a guy who was rumored to be racist, so yeah, we burned it down, but they won't do it to anyone else. And then it keeps getting pushed a little further and a little further. And I mean, we're getting pushed pretty far right now. And another note on their religious liberty is in California, we saw the state reaching into churches and telling them that they can't sing in church. And I believe most recently, I think I read that churches are now being closed down in California.
Yeah.
It's no longer legal to gather there, which is outrageous. It's trampling on individual liberty, on individual responsibility. Look, if I want to risk COVID and go to church, I'm going to go to church. You don't have a right to tell me not to. If I want to risk singing in church, I'm going to go sing in church. But the people who sing in church are being punished, and the people who burn statues of Mary are being protected. Right. And this is insanity.
It is, yeah. You're not allowed to sing or worship in church and gather, but you are allowed to destroy, and that's, to me, I feel like that's something where we conservatives, especially like the Hispanic community, we need to be really strong in that, and we need to wake up, and we need to protect that. So we were growing up, I was never taught what you're hearing right now is brown power or viva la raza. We were taught to say viva Cristo Rey, which means long live Christ the King. And so I'm just like, I don't want to have anything to do with brown pride or viva la raza. I 100% want to be able to say, continue living out my faith and practicing my faith and teaching my children the faith. Another reason why I cannot be on the left is because they claim to want tolerance, but they don't give any tolerance. So I came across so many people who are on the left side, and the minute I start speaking truth, or the minute I have a different opinion, they're just like, you're this and you're that, and the name calling.
They hate you, right? I mean, it's a very hateful position that I've seen on the left. And the irony is that they claim to be the diverse and accepting position of opinions, and yet I've seen so much hate and violence from the left in the last few months. And like you said, if you are someone who doesn't fit into their boxes, the left and the media, they love to work together and say, gay guy, boom, in this box. Straight white male, boom, in this box. Hispanic, this box. Black, this box. And if you go out of that box, then all of a sudden all the guns turn on you. You're no longer their friend. You're no longer protected.
Right, which is another reason why I am so strong about protecting our First Amendment right. I feel like that's something that, freedom of speech, freedom of having a different opinion, that's something that has to be protected. And the censorship. Another reason why I cannot be on their side, I think, is the censorship. Like we talked about, the left controls, the mainstream media, and you see that being in the abortion, the pro-life community, and being in the medical freedom community, I see how much they get censored. And so that's another reason why I cannot, be, you saw it this past weekend with the whole Goya situation.
Yes.
So quick to just cancel people and ostracize them.
A minority business, a successful minority business who has given millions to disaster relief and to donating their canned goods to low-income areas. And because they work with President Trump, they get boycotted.
Yeah, and
disgusting.
Showing appreciation, just like I would, the way, a lot of my community would too, who are business owners and who are doing so good here. I mean, they better not say they're happy, and they better not say that people get canceled. So that to me is crazy, and they don't know. If they say they advocate for the Hispanic community so much, why would they cancel Goya? Like, Goya helps, they employ from the fields, from the production facilities, from the stores, they help make that happen. And who is it going to affect? Obviously us, So that's something that I'm super against. It's just, that's an eye opener. Like, why would we support that? But, and then another reason too, is their policies. They do more harm than good. We see that in the Democratic run states. You see that they have higher crime, they have higher homeless levels, they have a lower education. And so I just feel like their policies do nothing for their people. They promise that they're going to give us everything for free, and then at the end of the day, it's not free. Nothing is free. We're adults. We know we're little kids, and we go to the store and we want something for free. No, we know things cost. So we're going to get taxed on it. At the end of the day, someone's going to have to pay it, and it's going to be us. The taxpayer, the middle class, the hardworking people. And
they'll give you just enough, though, not enough to truly be prosperous, but enough to keep you on the hook so that when it comes time to vote for them again, you will be more likely to do that, but not enough to truly be free. It's like this, the dangling carrot in front of the donkey. They always want you to not quite have enough, but to have a little taste of what they can give to you so that they seem like they're your friends. But really, it's a very fair weather friendship, and it's really very manipulative. If we had a personal relationship with somebody which was as shaky and as poorly established as the relationship between minorities and the Democrat Party, that personal relationship would be full of manipulation and distrust, because that's exactly what the Democrats have done to Hispanics and blacks and to other minorities in the U.S. is used them and lied to them, and left them in poverty and in high crime areas, as you said, and really neglected them except for when it's convenient to do otherwise. And I think that's so wrong, and we see it now kind of coming to, I think, a climax where people are choosing either to do what you're doing, which is speaking out and saying this has never made sense and now I need to stand for this, or they keep believing the lies. And I hope and pray that it's the first option, that more people keep seeing, why am I trusting these news sources? Why am I trusting these elitists and these power structures? What have they ever actually done for me and my neighborhood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And so I think we do realize that. I think the Hispanic community, I mean, the ones that I have been able to talk to, some of them are like, yeah, I see that, you're right. But then there's that missing piece, which is what connected us since the very beginning, which is the whole immigration, thing. So when I speak truth to people and when I speak to them, about everything that's going on, one thing is speaking truth, and then the other thing is, I think, speaking hope or giving them hope.
Wow.
And
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, I feel like right now, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm waiting, just like you are waiting. I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm waiting to see what party is going to give us that immigration reform that we really need. So, I mean, I'm all for, I want to support an immigration reform that is balanced, that is fair. To all of us that are waiting, we all start from somewhere. I mean, we're not, I don't really agree with the whole, you have to be someone in order to qualify for it. I feel like some people, like us, we started from the bottom. We started from having nothing. And even, my husband and I, we started literally from, like, we were living at my parents' house for a whole year rent free. And that was my dad's agreement. He said, you're going to live here, and in a year you're going to buy your own home. So knowing that, I want it to be fair, and I want, to support something where everybody, gets the opportunity, even from the bottom.
Yes.
So,
And I think what that would look like to me from a policy perspective is prioritizing character over achievement. Because I think a lot of people who have great character, a lot of hardworking, dedicated, patriotic individuals, they don't have a lot of achievement because they haven't been given those opportunities. They're coming from developing countries, second and third world, and so they're not doctors yet, and they're not small time millionaires, which is the people who right now have it easiest to immigrate here. They're just your average working class or lower class individuals who want to come and build a better life. And if we look at the person, and I think the resume of who this individual is, as opposed to how much money they have, and even maybe their plans. I think something that might go into a streamlined policy is, what do you want to do here? Do you want to go to college? Are you applying to colleges? Are you skilled in, like your dad, in mechanics, in a tire shop? Are you trying to contribute in that way? And if so, I think that should be encouraged and welcomed here. What shouldn't be encouraged here is anybody who either just has money or who is looking to negatively influence the surroundings with a criminal background. And those things are unfortunately not focused on today. I think you and I probably have also had exposure to immigration raffle systems, where literally yearly there are raffles to see if your name gets pulled to be on the list of people who get to immigrate. These types of very outdated ideas are what our immigration system runs on, and it takes years. Imagine applying for immigration today and being told that you will not be able to be a citizen for 10 to 20 years. How disheartening and just tragic is that for you and your family, when you know that you will grow old waiting to immigrate? It's a real problem, and I think it does a disservice to our quality immigrants who want to come here and contribute.
for sure, yeah. And that's the thing, that during those 20 years, those 20 plus years, you're just kind of laying low. You don't really rights. You face a lot of injustices, a lot of limitations. I know that my dad faced, he struggled obviously with the language, so he faced a lot of intimidation, and was called names too. So I mean, it wasn't easy. And then also my brother, waiting for his situation to fix. He was limited. He couldn't get his, he needed his CDL license. That's all he wanted to do, and he couldn't do it. We kind of just had to lay low. Something that I think about too is that I worked 2 jobs before being able to fix my situation, and I experienced, you could say, harassment, and I could not report that for fear, of being deported. And the saddest part is that, people my bosses, they knew that. So they, in a way, they, it happens in our community all the time. They take advantage
Yes.
like that.
Yes. Absolutely.
And, being on this side, you kind of have to be cautious. You have to have, you could say like a thicker skin, because you do hear things like, you guys need to get in line, or you guys need to do things the right way. And I do not agree with that, because as you and I both talked about it, it's hard. It's not that easy. I feel like coming here, risking everything, leaving everything behind is very American in itself. Like taking that risk to better yourself, to start your family. And like you said, we did not come here. There's that saying, right? Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. I could say the same, for our community. Nobody hates a bad immigrant more than a good immigrant. I know that there is people here that they will come and they will milk the system, and that's something that I am totally against. I mean, if you're going to use it as a lift me up, we all need help. We're
Yes.
all have all been there. But there's people that do take advantage. So I do understand why the right is against us. Like I get it. It makes it really bad for the rest of us. And then so yeah, like having that said, it's not that easy. So I don't agree when they say that. I know that right now our community, like especially like I came across a couple news articles of the street vendors. They are for some reason being attacked more, and these poor people, like they're innocent. All they're doing is just same thing we're all doing, is just trying to live their life with the resources they have. And these poor people, they cannot. Oftentimes they don't call the police. Because they're scared. And then second, they will probably not seek any medical assistance because they're scared. So
Yeah.
Just much, lift, pick up whatever, they can, and just, do it all over again and face the same dangers. So I feel like those good people need to be protected, and I think they deserve it. That's pretty much all we want.
and I think that's something that I know we're probably going to have to wrap up here in about 3 minutes. So I'll give you the floor to share your final message, because I know Instagram kicks you off after an hour. I think we've been on for almost an hour here. But I think that's something that the right side of the aisle, the conservatives, could really advance their cause by paying attention to, which is number one, the need for immigration reform, which a lot of conservatives, they maybe care about it, but they don't talk about it much. All they talk about is controlling the border, which
Right.
I agree with. I say control our border, but we also need immigration reform for a better immigration system. And then number two is the simple fact that, look, if we were to deport everybody who came here illegally, it would actually cost us a lot more money than just giving those people a path to citizenship. Than saying, look, we need to control our border now. We need to solve that problem. But the people who are already here, especially dreamers, children who were brought here or born here, they who are contributing to our society and who are not violent, not criminals, it's cheaper economically and better for our system to give them a path. And Donald Trump, you and I talked about that, has actually been working on a policy for that recently in the last couple of months. So with that in mind, and your final message, I guess there's a minute left. It's giving me a countdown here. So give us some closing thoughts, and thanks so much, Alma. You are awesome. I love talking to people. This has been such a blessing. This is so cool.
Thank you so much. But I really appreciate the opportunity. I think what I would say is, if they would give us the opportunity, we would fight with all of the people who love America hand in hand against communism, against because we know what we'll be losing if our country ever becomes that. So we're kind of just waiting. I know I'm waiting. I know I'm really, you know,
for that reform.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I'm really optimistic. So we'll see. I feel like he's kind of